Choosing between competing job offers is a pretty high pressure situation, and the opportunity cost of making the wrong decision here can be a lot bigger than most people realize. And what I've found over time is that when people are evaluating different options in front of them, they don't always focus on the most important things to think about and what's going to actually lead to career success over the long term. So whether you're currently in the process of deciding between competing offers, or you just want to make sure you're ready to make a decision quickly when evaluating different opportunities, this video walks through 5 things to think about when choosing between real estate job offers and some of the most underrated factors in this process that you'll definitely want to consider. So the first thing you want to think about is very specific to real estate because this industry is so network dependent, and this is deciding on the geographic market in which you want to work long term. Especially if you're graduating from a top university with a national presence, there's a very real possibility that you'll have job offers in multiple different cities. And when that's the case, factoring in where you want to build your career and ultimately your life over the long run is one of the most important things that you'll need to consider. The city you decide to work in can impact your professional growth, your relationships within the industry, and even where you ultimately decide to settle down later on. So if you're considering job opportunities in Los Angeles and New York, for example, this decision can have long-term implications even if the job you take is meant to be short-term. This can also be really important when you're choosing between a big city or a smaller city, since major metros tend to come with significantly more networking opportunities, job opportunities, and even higher pay. So while your cost of living might increase when moving from Cleveland to Boston, for example, the upside you'd see from making that switch is usually well worth the trade-off. Now, the next thing to focus on once you've gotten clear on location is whether you want to work on the acquisition and management of existing commercial real estate or the ground up construction of new development projects. In most cases, your relationships with land brokers won't help you source off-market opportunities to acquire existing properties. Commercial lease analysis skills you may have built in asset management won't be applicable when trying to get construction projects approved, and a lot of your technical skill sets in either of these disciplines won't ultimately transfer when moving from an acquisitions role to a development role or vice versa. And just like I talked about in the acquisitions versus development careers video I put out a few weeks ago, which I'll link in the description below, these two industry disciplines will have you doing very different things on a day-to-day basis. So if you know you want to be a developer and you're considering a role that's focused exclusively on investing in and managing existing properties, this should be a huge red flag within your decision-making process. Now, the next thing to consider when choosing between job offers is also related to the work you'd be doing on a day-to-day basis, and this is getting clear on the product type you want to focus on and ultimately build a career in. Even though you don't have to know exactly what you want your long-term career focus to be directly out of college, it does help if your first job is at least somewhat in the ballpark, since similar to what I mentioned about acquisition and development roles, the skills you'll learn when working on some product types won't necessarily be applicable when working on others. For example, if you're choosing between working for a company that focuses on senior housing or working for a company that focuses on medical office buildings, if your interests lie most in residential real estate, the senior housing role would give you much more transferable skills to bring into a student housing, affordable housing, or even market rate multifamily role. But if your interests lie most in commercial real estate, the medical office building job will most likely give you experience in commercial lease analysis and potentially even Argus, which are both highly sought after skills in the retail and industrial sectors. Also, if you find yourself 3 or 4 years into your career and decide you want to transition into a significantly different product type, in a lot of cases, you may need to make a lateral move or even take a step back career-wise at a time when you'll probably feel like you're ready to take on even more responsibility and you're most likely looking for even higher pay. Now, the next thing I'd focus on is something that I think is extremely underrated, especially for people that are new to the industry, and this is factoring in the culture of each company that you're considering working for. If you've watched any other videos on this channel, you probably know that I'm a huge proponent of working hard early on in your career, but that does not mean working in a hostile environment or working with people you don't like or trust. This is why I think it's so important during the interview process to either ask to talk to other analysts and associates on the team, or ideally talk to former employees that aren't incentivized to tell you what you want to hear, because usually this is going to be the best way to gauge what things would actually be like if you ended up taking the role. Ideally, you'll want to lean towards jobs where things feel sustainable over the long term if you did want to stick around. And even though it's very unlikely that you'll work for your first employer out of college throughout your entire career, not feeling like you have to get out as soon as humanly possible can help you make better career decisions and can give you additional negotiating leverage with a new employer when you're ready to move on. Now, the last point I want to bring up in this video honestly would have annoyed me if I heard this at 22, but today I think this is one of the most important things that young professionals can do in this industry, and this is to prioritize learning over pay. If you're choosing between job opportunities, there could be a significant difference in salary between your two offers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the company that's offering higher pay is also going to offer the best learning opportunity. And while taking the job that's going to pay you more might make you an extra 10 to 15 grand a year before taxes, this could end up costing you hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars later down the line if the learning curve at this job is significantly flatter than it would have been at a company that would have paid you less. This often comes up when people are considering offers to join smaller firms or startups that typically can't offer employees the same pay and benefits packages that big established companies can. However, these firms will often provide employees with a level of responsibility and exposure that big bureaucratic firms can almost never match. Especially if you're weighing your options between working for a 30-plus-year-old firm or working for a small but growing company run by senior leaders with institutional experience. Even though the base salary in your initial offer at that smaller company might be low and your health insurance package might not be anything to write home about, the skills and the network you build in these types of situations can often help you progress significantly faster in your career than you would have at a more established firm. Smaller companies like this that offer lower salaries will also often try to make up for this with opportunities to co-invest in deals, faster advancement opportunities, or even participation in fees and promoted interest, all of which are really difficult to come by at big established organizations. So even though you might see a big variation in initial offers between two companies, that doesn't necessarily mean that the higher number is better. Ultimately, if you end up being in a position where you have multiple different job offers, this is a really good thing, and I hope this is helpful as you're weighing different options. And if you want to build the skills that the top companies in this industry are looking for right now in analysts and associate candidates, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Breaking a CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You'll get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, and you'll also get access to the Breaking a CRE Analyst Certification exam, which covers topics like real estate pro forma and development modeling, commercial real estate lease modeling, equity waterfall modeling, and many other real estate financial analysis concepts that will help you prove to employers that you have what it takes to tackle the responsibilities of an analyst or associate at a top real estate firm. And if you like this video and want to see more content on any part of the real estate job search process, make sure to hit the like button and let me know. And let me know in the comments some of the biggest factors that you consider when evaluating different job opportunities. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.